It's you.
Yes, good to see you.
What is the reaction that just you get whatsoever? How's that gone down, Ben?
I would disagree with the no redeeming qualities.
Apart from being devilishly handsome.
Good night. Yeah, so we'll reverse engineer this. No spoilers, you guys all just saw the picture. I went to the premiere, I brought my parents, my mom and dad. And when Faisal gets shot, the room in Hollywood exploded. And I was like, you're welcome, Mom. It's complicated. So the reaction has been complicated, but also it's been stirring in the way that working with Antoine is inspiring. In the way that you get asked nervy questions and not ones with comfortable answers. And hopefully, at its best, a film can ask questions so that when we go home at night and we talk with our loved ones or to the bar or just take a walk and just say, how does this keep happening? Why is this happening again? And internationally, why are there groups of people who are learning, if you take the thesis, and Bob, you and me, we talked about learning to hate. I talked with Antoine about if you're gonna take the thesis of a film that, and not to be cute about it, but you said, all right, you're a baby. Maybe you're not a bigot. Maybe you're not an anti-Semite. Maybe you're just a baby. How do you learn that? And let's not make excuses, but let's ask the question of how we get there. And if we can ask the question to get there, perhaps a film can be more than a Trojan horse. It can be provocative in a way that means something personally. So yeah, let it be complicated and provocative.
Well, talking about complicated, Charmaine, the script came to you and you instantly connected with it. Ben, the script came to you and you instantly called Antoine and said, why me? And Bob, Antoine came to you and you said you didn't want to do the movie. So why didn't you want to make this movie, which is so powerful and, as Ben and Charmaine both said, has this very clear and very different message?
I felt very awkward being white.
Okay.
And shooting the movie. I felt maybe a black cinematographer or cinematographer of color would be a wiser choice. I had other issues which are physical, but they're not worth. But that was the primary reason I didn't want to make the movie.
And purely out of interest, because I'm sure people will be very interested, why did Antoine feel that you were the right man for the job?
I think that Antoine, when we started to discuss the subject matter, he tried to make it no color. It's not about color, it's not about blame. This is a story about love and everyone can tell the same story. It doesn't matter what color you are.
We had a beautiful moment at a Q&A last night. It was we had a lot of our hair and makeup team there as well. And Antoine, there's about 12 of us on stage, and Antoine pointed out that we're of every color. We're from all these different places, and it's going to take all of us to have a look at solving this, together.
It's very interesting because I've done a number of these Q&As about the movie with various people involved in various of the crafts, and there are a lot of people who've worked on this who are white, who are very well aware and have asked the similar questions that you did, Bob, was about maybe I'm not the right person. And there are some seriously considered conversations that have gone on amongst everybody and very honest and being very open about it. I think that's one of the reasons that it works so well. Ben, two fascinating elements of creating your character here and your performance. You set his origins in the Midwest and not the South, and we were talking about stereotypes. And obviously a lot of these people that we see in films come from the Deep South, the racism that comes from there. You decided not to do that. But also when you were on set, you didn't acknowledge Will at all. You stayed in character for the entire thing until pretty much the end of the shoot. And you were basically like, nice to meet you. Tell me a little bit about, because those are very clear and very decisive choices. I haven't just made those facts up, by the way, to surprise Ben.
I read the script. It moved well. It had a momentum. It felt entertaining and also historically provocative in a way that I hadn't read before, hadn't seen before. And Antoine called me up and said, I want you to read this thing. And I'm a fan of Antoine Fuqua's. But I just come off a set of a film called The Survivor. And The Survivor is about a man who escapes a concentration camp, true story. All similar to this, but just different side of the wire. And so I'm on HBO, and it's a man that has to escape Auschwitz. And long story short, I had exhausted myself, I thought, on looking at human atrocity. And I come from a family, this is not an excuse or a why not, but you spend time, I went to Auschwitz, right, to research The Survivor, and it's one thing to read about history books, but it's being erased in this country from history books. Same way that the enslaved culture, the enslaved people of our country is being erased from history books in our education system. When you touch the rails that 6 million human beings came upon, you get a feeling. It changes you. It's not an idea, it's not a picture, it's not a movie. You know what it's like to be in a physical space. And I thought I was exhausted. My half my family, and this is a longer version, but it bears, I believe, discussing, which is they escaped annihilation from the Ukraine and Romania. I'm here because of them. They escaped. Their family, our relatives, were kidnapped and put into camps. And if they didn't survive, they were thrown into gas chambers, fire pits. And looking at people in our country, I didn't want to look at that. I'm a proud American, right? I'm a proud product of immigration, legal immigration into our country. And my Nana, who was robbed of sleep till the day she passed, and the most patriotic American you ever met from Romania. She's like, that's my lady. That Statue of Liberty, that's my lady. She had like a Lego set in her house. So I read this thing, and I'm like, I don't want to be the guy. They would march with Martin Luther King a month after Selma. Progressive Jews at a certain time were locked arms because they saw something, they experienced something with people of color, Martin Luther King, who led a movement. And my father marched, my grandfather marched. This has nothing to do with anything I want to talk about. Good luck, Antoine. He says on the phone, I want to lift the veil. I'm like, good luck. I think, well, you're good. We need that. I was like, why are you calling me to play this guy? Can we do a romantic comedy? Drama, something. Charming. Vaguely charming. And then I couldn't sleep, and I kept thinking, I was like, oh, got it. I don't want to do it is the reason I need to do it. Okay, I don't want to look at it. Okay. Antoine, I'm calling you up. It's 4th of July. I'm like, okay, here's the thing. We're not gonna, how do you lift the veil on white racism? I'm asking you guys. Huh? How are you gonna lift the veil of white racism, white hate, white groups? How are you gonna do that? Well, you take the trope out. real simple, not profound, simple. Not all Southerners are racists. Not all Northerners are civil rights activists. Okay, so if we put the motherfucker in the middle of the country, maybe we can begin to ask questions without having an end result and say, how's he learned? And said, let's go.
Mm. It's so well put. But when you say it, it seems very obvious. But the fact that this hasn't been done before is incredible. Charmaine,
I believe it was a beautiful lady called Chantal Jean-Pierre and our dialect coach, Tom Jones.
Okay, but that wasn't part of the script.
No, we just thought we'd throw it in there. I mean, I had to.
No, but that's an actor. That's an actor. That's homework.
Thanks, Ben.
Bob, you had the...
So I'm just going to do my version of you, so go at it. I'm watching.
I think the most important scene for me was the family scene in the very beginning. It set the stage for the movie, and starting with Will and then revealing piece by piece that family and his love of God and his love of his family, which, you know, the symbol of just the water moving along the foot and the eye contact and the little girl, younger daughter, coming forward into a little bit of the light and falling back, which was duplicated later, sort of with you hugging them all in the bed. It's like, it changed. Antoine didn't allow us to shoot that first. I initially wanted to shoot that scene first. Thought it'd be the easiest scene to get into. He wanted to take wanted to take Will through hell before he put him in a place of family, because family would be easier to find for him once he knew what it was like to suffer.
You followed that up very well. That's amazing.
over to you, Ben. No pressure.
I'll be greedy and brief as I can. We're halfway through the shoot. Antoine says, I want to show you something. I don't tend to watch rushes. I don't like to watch playback. I like to communicate person to person. Bob and I communicated a lot, or intuitively. And the more you get to know your collaborators, the more you don't have to talk. You just get it's kind of like riding a horse. Horse listens. If you're nervous, the horse is nervous. If you're confident, the horse listens. If you look where you're going, it goes. The scene goes in life. Antoine says, I want to show you something. And I said, well, I don't want to watch me. Arrogant. He's like, I'm not going to show you. I said, good. He brings me into a van. He has a van. In the van, there's a screen. The screen is his playback center. He developed it during COVID. It was a way to create film while we were all trying to create distance, where we couldn't all gather like we are tonight. Maybe a healthy new year. He brings me into the room, or into this van, and he presses play. It's just me and him. And he plays, he doesn't tell me nothing. And I'm worried about the mud on my boots, because we're shooting in the swamps. This is not a green screen. They don't make movies like this often. Like usually it's a green screen, you get some mud, you get some movie blood, but we're in the swamps with the snakes and 40 alligators every day, and that's the first question you ask every day. Like, how many gators are on this set? And you're like, we got 40. Like, terrific. All right, so where are you putting the camera? Where are you walking? And you're like, you're just going 4 yards down that way towards the other snakes, but there's some snake handlers. Like, good morning, 7 a.m. The light's right for Bob, and Bob's gonna make it look great. So you do your thing. So he pulls me in the van, I'm out of boots, goes the thing. Shut the door, don't want to watch me, fine. It's not about you, got it, fine. Door shuts, dark out. Screen goes up, and it's Dodine. And it's the first footage I've seen as an actor, and it's the scene where she's being told that her children are going to be separated from her. And she has to return to calm them and make them feel safe. And I wasn't ready for it. But I broke down. I broke down in the way that you cry, and Antoine has a presence. Antoine Fuqua, as a director, has a presence. He has an energy. It's one of those things where directors can try and outsmart you, try to give you the magic key. And there are other people that just transmit a sensibility, a feelingness, and an urge to go further than you're comfortable. I feel safe to say that I feel that he did that with our crew and our cast, that he set an energy on set. I watched the scene, and she's dealing with saying goodbye to her kids. And I'm wiping my eyes, and he turns the lights on. We just sit there in silence. A man who can sit in silence and mean it. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. I said, I'm going to, and to this day, I've never given a greater compliment. I had to look away. I couldn't watch this mother whose owner was saying, we're separating you from your kids. I had to look away. And in that moment, it was reinforced that we can't look away. And that's because of this performance. And that's because of this cinematographer. And that's because of this director who's creating a space and catching myself feeling guilty, of feeling like I shouldn't be here right now. This is their stuff. And I caught myself and I felt bad. So that flickers consistently. The second moment is something that Antoine and Bob and I talked a lot about. Bob and I talked, what I'll say is one of the greatest gifts is during the film, I made a friend, and his name's Bob.
We would sit at a bar. We'd have a nice piece of meat or fish.
Yeah.
Every night.
Marrow. We did the marrow.
Bone marrow.
Bone marrow. So that's like I have a friend, and so that's the good part. And then the horrible part is saying, oh my God, I'm a white man, the face of the white devil. And anytime you open the newspaper, you see the white devil. You look at George Floyd, the casualness. We shared an article. Antoine and I shared articles constantly when we decided it was like, let's kick the tires. Let's just I don't have an answer. Do you? No, but okay. And there's a book that has nothing to do with this film, but it has everything to do with this film, which has everything to do with the papers you read, with every shooting, every unanswered phone call, every hospital that doesn't take care of a person of color. There's one book. There are many books. There's 1619. We have a reading list later we can share. But this one in particular is called Without Consequence. Without Sanctuary, pardon me. Without Sanctuary. And it is a photographic record of American lynchings in our country not so long ago. And there's an essay in there. Now let's jump back to a picture. You might have one in your mind right now, you might not. You might imagine that there's someone hanging for from a tree by their neck because of the color of their skin. And they are surrounded by a group of white people who are smiling. Children who are smiling. Now, this is not a point to make a point about white people are naturally born this way, but they're learned this way. They're learned this way. And in this essay, there's a line that says, relentless matter-of-factness of racial violence. Relentless matter-of-factness. So you're like, wow, that was in the lynchings. Wow, that was when Peter escaped. Open the newspaper today. I hope this film can suggest some consideration of pause before Fassel says the inevitable, or perhaps maybe not, I hope. What if they return the favor on us? Can you imagine? And that's what unites us as human beings, is saying, I don't want that for my babies. So when we shot that scene, did a few takes. Full moon. Tonight's a wolf moon, by the way. I don't know if anyone's like weirdo like that, but I am. I'm a little moony. Right? There's a wolf moon out there, and we shot that. We had a good moon down there, right, Bob?
Yes, it did make you in a good mood.
Yeah, well, it made a mood. It made a mood. But just let's ask the question, like, how are we together? Because it's not about hate. It's about, holy shit, it's guilt. We did that. Can't let them up again. Because if they do, that's where white violence comes from. So let's look at that. So let's ask questions with each other as all colors, shapes, sizes, identities. And just say, we ain't here alone. Ain't it great to be here? That's all.
Well, it has been.